Hello and welcome to a very Merry Christmas of Grimrock 2. My name is Highwang, this is the single character challenge. It's a very nice looking day, man. 'Tis the season for joy and jolly. Got everything ready to go, got to take a quick little pit stop. Oh, and by the way, I'm totally not rusty after, a month of not playing. Yeah, it's been a long time since I last played. So first on the agenda is the grudge match with Pirate King. Well, Pirate King is actually just the boss of the pirates. Now the only reason the pirate boss is threatening is because of his entourage. He has a lot of people at his disposal. Also, let's demo the heal shield. Long charge, pretty decent heal. I want to say about 100 health heal, but doesn't heal injury. So you gotta keep that in mind when you're fighting. But yeah, today's commentary might be a bit sloppy because I was recording this, say 4 hours before Christmas Day. So if I seem a little distracted or unorganized and just generally not interesting, I apologize. But while we have a grudge match with the pirate, it's been interrupted by the grudge match with the leprechaun over here. He hasn't changed much. The only real difference is that he's with the pirates. And by with the pirates, I mean he's just hiding among them to throw bombs at you. Now, I don't know whether or not it's due to the fact that he's weaker or we're just that much stronger, but it definitely feels like the fights with the leprechaun are getting a lot quicker. But man, he's got a throwing arm. Trying desperately not to get punched in the mouth again by a bomb. Failing. I do like the heal shield a lot though. I got it for a totally different reason than what I was expecting, but the thing has 8 charges and a pretty generous heal, so it's a good pickup, not gonna lie. Also, man, the trickster totally messed up here. Look at this. Also, I'm really digging that, those points I put in a crit hit. They're helping out a lot with damage. What are you doing? You can't corner yourself in this game. I know. I've tried. That's just gonna happen. And there he goes. Bye, trickster. And much to my dismay, he left nothing. Why? Now onto the actual fight. Gotta heal up first, because any and all wounds are kind of threatening, because that just means it's more likely that you'll get a head injury if you haven't gotten one already. Now I'm mainly sleeping here because I kind of want to do these recordings when it's daytime in the game. We really don't see the time cycle affect this game much. I think we only see it in 2 instances across the entire game, which is sort of disappointing. We see it in 2 instances, and there's 1 mechanic that has that. But I mainly like to fight in day, mainly because it saves me from having to use the light spell, and it's just, pleasing to look at. We also don't miss a lot of items either. Still a lot of these jerks around here, though. Luckily, they drop meat when they have a warg with them. Now there's the Pirate King, or pirate boss. Pretty big guy. I like his design a lot, but man, he hurts. I mean, we know this all too well, but geez. My main reasoning for killing off all of the mobs first before the boss is because the only reason the boss is threatening is because at any time a pirate rat could just kind of wander in and, ruin your day. Because if I remember right, all these mobs, not the pirates in particular, just all these mobs have a base chance to injure you. But let's go get the pirates' attention. Hey, I'm over here. Good job, Filson. I don't think you like that, though. Ow. Yeah, unfortunately the cannon is hit scan, so you gotta be careful when dodging him. But luckily there's a little bit of a concourse here for us to fight him in. I do like the rat boss's design though. He is painful, and you can tell. He's a rat that's bigger and badder enough to just carry a cannon and many cannonballs with him. I think it's infinite cannons, actually. He has infinite cannons at his disposal to kill me, and I don't like it. I think the worst part is that he shot my feet with a cannon. Who does that? What a jerk. Luckily he's still in the concourse that we left him in, so... Now, despite how cool the rat boss looks and how intimidating he is on both sides, once you get him alone, he's not that hard to fight. That attack right there is probably his most threatening thing, but for whatever reason, he doesn't hit me with it. Like, for some odd reason, I figured that move would be hit scan, but I don't seem to get hit by it at all, which is good? I feel like that should hit a lot quicker, though, given how agile he's been. I figure, you know, turning and shooting a cannon would be something he could do. But nah, he just doesn't know how to deal with this now. This is the pirate boss. Now you're probably wondering yourself, wait a minute, they used the same boss design twice. That's kind of weird and lazy, isn't it? I'll tell y'all right now, they actually have a really clever reason for having two of the same boss, which we'll see when we eventually carve this meat shield down. Now, despite being what seemingly looks like a normal mob right now, he's still a boss character with boss HP, so he's tough, I'll give him that. But eventually he gets carved down. Now, I take the cannon with me, but we did forget another item on his disposal, which kind of makes me laugh. But, you know, gotta put my prize here, among my treasure trove. Gotta enjoy the food, because across these recordings I've noticed I've been starving a lot more recently. I'm pretty sure that's just because it's been so long since I played that I have no idea how to manage my hunger. Now that should be everything but the wind elemental. Now, I'm gonna warn you all right now, I think I get about halfway back to the sewers and then turn around because I did forget another drop from the rat boss. Right about here. Yeah. Now this is in no means an important item. I just wanted to pick this up because it's kind of, I wouldn't say good design. Recycling assets just by copy paste is by no means good. But at least they made the effort to say, hey, we want to give an excuse for why this person's here. Should be right there. Really hard to see in the sand, but it's a letter. It's from the Island Master saying that we killed the pirate boss's brother. So another pirate boss came to get his revenge. So there are twin pirate bosses. Yeah, it's kind of lazy, but I thought at least they tried. It's a clever little thing, but for today we're actually going to explore the archives. It's a single floor dungeon, kind of big, kind of follows the same rules as Ruins of Desarunes and I want to say the sewers, but not for the most part, no. It's basically an extension of the Ruins of Desarunes. Our main purpose here is to find a way to solve the puzzle. I don't know, it's the archives puzzle. We saw it before when we were going to the sewers, but we never actually, you know, explored the puzzle because A, we don't have the clues to solve the puzzle, and B, I don't remember it. It's the kind of puzzle that really doesn't stick to you because it's so obtuse. But I actually like the archives a lot. A lot of reused assets, but it's mostly puzzle focused. A little bit of combat interspersed in between each one, like right here. But there's enough puzzles here to make it feel really interesting and exciting to explore. A lot of ice elementals here too, which is why I'm glad I kept the frostbite necklace with me. I'm gonna look to be getting my get my rocks back, because we're gonna need rocks where we're going. Not just here, but for the next 3 dungeons. Now, as I mentioned before, I haven't played in a month, so if it seems like I'm methodically looking for things, it's because I don't remember all the puzzles here. But here's the main puzzle for this area. If this seems familiar, it kinda is. If you remember early in the game, we did a puzzle talking about the 4 plagues, and for this one, it's the 4 figurines that we gotta look for, with basically the same logic. And we gotta go across the entire dungeon to find these figurines. And in that metal gate, if you could hear it above my talking, was a power crystal. So effectively, this area is required. It's an area you could easily miss. Like, if you're like me and just kind of went into sewers and not looked at beyond the ruins of Desarune, you could easily miss this area. And in fact, in my test run, I totally forgot about it until the extreme end game when I was comically overpowered. So there's that. I do like the fact that this does feel kind of like a storage area. You see a lot of, you know, barrels, crates, a lot of just things kept in here for the sake of storage. And the fact that nature has taken itself to come in here, it really shows how old this place must be. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd imagine it was meant for some important purpose, but at some point either pirates or something else kind of repurposed it for their storage. Because if you notice that this place is at a common point where pirate rats tend to hang out, it's in between the hamlet of Stormbreach and the sewers of the hamlet. So I could see pirates using this area just to store some of their loot. Like that box of food that we got earlier at the beginning of the dungeon. Now, my main reason for looking around is my supplies are really low. Like, going through Crystal Caves kind of ate my entire medical supply, so I'm hoping to find a bunch of red caps in this area. So I mentioned before when I first fought the crabs in Desarune that I feel like they have high armor capacity, which is why I can feel like I can never do enough damage to them. And I feel like we're going to see that later in today's episode, when we fight another one under different circumstances. In the meanwhile, though, here's a puzzle. Teleporter doesn't work for you, but it works for flying objects. And there are 3 switches to depress, so naturally you just gotta move the portal around with that button. Which is kind of why I was hoping to get more rocks, but I never did find any more, so I had to improvise on what I want to throw. This letter's worthless, and ironically enough, it could weigh down a stone plate. And for the third one, it's directly in the center, so you don't need to throw anything. Just put some black moss there, whatever. Now, you can retrieve those items. There's not really much to worry about that. If you noticed it for that split second, there was a button there that you press to open up a gate into there. And I kind of want that black moss back. It's pretty useful. This is me realizing, wait a minute, there's supposed to be a way in here. Oh, right. There has to be something. Yep. Now here's an interesting trap. I kind of like this a lot just because It was definitely designed to catch people off guard. Because when you find the right switch to get where you need to go, right there, you have to deal with a fight with 2 undead crusaders and 2 undead archers. Now, I don't know if I explored this before, but the undead crusaders specifically have a weakness to electricity. And this fight is actually really trivialized because if you could get within a corridor, you could just trivialize them. Take the note back for some weird reason. What am I doing? Now, they open this up so you could get your items back, but they also give you a weapon for finding the secret. It's the Morning Star. I've never used this weapon. Like, from what I remember, it has a good damage range and it has stun, which would make easy work of some enemies, but I just never picked this up. I guess it must have been because I explored somewhere else before this in my first playthrough and must have found a better heavy weapon. But yeah, I suppose if you go here first and foremost, it could be a serviceable weapon. Now, I mentioned before that this area has a lot of clever puzzles. Like, despite using a lot of rehashed assets from Grimrock 1, it definitely feels like there was a lot of creative puzzle logic here. And we're gonna see that in a minute, because for some odd reason there's a longsword here. Now, why would that be there? That was like one of the first items we got. But there's a reason for that longsword to be there. And when you see it, well, I'll just let the puzzle explain itself, because we should be nearing upon it now. Scroll? Rock? Sword. Wait, sword. As me remembering, this is rock, paper, scissors. I feel like they should have called it a scroll, stone, sword, you know, make it 3 S's, but this is kind of clever, putting a rock, paper, scissors puzzle in a game like this. So yeah, you just need the 3 ingredients to do this, and I'm actually kind of glad that they give you the sword here, because if you're playing a normal playthrough, you're gonna have a scroll, and there's enough rocks in here for you to just find one, but having a sword on hand is, oddly enough, not likely. Because depending on your playthrough, you could have just a heavy user, a magic user in the front row, and then 2 missile weapon users, which means you probably won't have a sword. Also, I kept part of this fight in here to show off the mean part of this puzzle. Because they spawn a crab to decide to flank you, and that crab's not great. He's a tough nut to crack. But yeah, I mainly kept the flying parasite there to show just how strong we've gotten. That flying little bug there, roughly 3 hits will kill him, and he doesn't have a high evade rate, so you don't have to worry. And our reward for this puzzle, if I could find the path, I'm pretty sure I got lost. Maps are really weird, man. It's easy to get lost when you're fighting and just constantly backstepping, because then you forget which turn to take. But our reward for this is the ogre statue. So far we've gotten the ogre and the Crovern statue. And there's not much else. I think the extension to this room was to hold either the elemental or the bug. Now up there is a protection crystal and probably something else, but I haven't the foggiest of how to get up there. I don't think I ever solved this puzzle. If anybody watching could tell me how to solve that, that'd be great. I probably won't show off getting it because I don't think it's anything important. I think it's just a protection crystal, but it'd be appreciated. Couple of free potions here. I mainly take health potions because they are in short supply. Now this circumstance is tricky. You need a key, which you get from killing the first crab in this area. And there's 2 doors here, and if you're not, you know, clever, like me, you'll die here, which is why that game loaded notification is down there. This is effectively my second attempt at this, because I tried to do something clever and it didn't work. Because behind here is 2 crabs and 2, what's it called? 2 disease bugs. Now what you want to do is get away from that hallway as soon as possible, because you could get flanked really easily. But to manage this fight, what you want to do is lead it all the way back out here. We'll lead one enemy out here, then close the gate. And the reinforcements won't have a way to touch you. You can see it right there, the AI had no idea what to do there. And as I mentioned before, I'm beginning to cut down on fight cuts mainly because these bugs are not worth cutting down. That was like, what, 30 seconds of a fight? Probably not even. And there are 2 paths here. We got this left path that doesn't give us much, but lockpicks are always appreciated. Because when I find the opening of a Hell Mom mimic, I kind of want to open its mouth. And over here are just some provisions. Well, I never said they were in this room. Here we get the Tome of Fire. It's just fire resist. More importantly, we get the Crystal Shard of Recharging. I think this is the second one we get out of 3 throughout the entire game. And we've already wasted one on the Storm Seed Orb. So we need to keep that thing ready. And so far we've gotten 2 of the 4 figurines to solve this puzzle, but we haven't explored the other half of this level yet. Now this is where I feel like, you know, Grimrock is really clever with their puzzle design. Because this mixes up a couple things. It mixes up the sliding block puzzle, which we see in like every RPG, but we're not using it to like open passage, but mainly to get to 3 switches that we have to throw objects at in order to unlock the middle block, which will allow us to go through. This requires a bit of ingenuity, spatial awareness, and figuring out how to get around an immovable object. And I'm gonna let y'all right now, I do this completely wrong. The puzzle is supposed to work like this. There is a switch that is obvious to see, that's the one on the left. You're supposed to find a way to hit that first and foremost. But the issue is that you can only move 2 of the 3 blocks, so how are you supposed to do that? Now from experience, I know approximately where the buttons are. I don't know exactly where they are, but I could, once I see them, I figure out where they are. But that's not how you're supposed to solve the puzzle. What you do is, you hit the switch on the left, which lights up another switch up north, or up in front, which will then light up another switch on the right, which is the one I just depressed. Which means basically I'm doing this entire puzzle ass backwards. Which is kind of silly. Like, even though this is the unintended way, it's still nice to know that you could solve this puzzle if you're clever enough and have, like, good awareness. But something that's kind of bugging me is I don't quite remember how I'm supposed to hit that leftmost switch. Because when you do, all the other switches light up, which is what the puzzle is intended. I just never quite figured that out. I'm still struggling to figure out how I'm supposed to hit that switch. Yeah, I believe we've hit the rightmost one and the northmost one. Oh, we haven't hit the rightmost one. But yeah, this puzzle's neat. I mentioned before that the sliding puzzles in Grimrock one never feel obnoxious or bad. Like, they're never like a billion blocks and you gotta figure out which configuration to make a path. Nah, most times these block puzzles are a means to an end. Which is something I'm kind of glad Grimrock does. It's never wasting your time, unless you're dumb like me and can't figure out a puzzle to save your life. Yeah, I believe this is the alignment for the... No, I'm still 1 off. So me and my cleverness. Now, an interesting trait about items in this game, every item in this game has it doesn't have infinite range if you're throwing it just from your inventory. Like if I were to say throw like a necklace or a piece of armor, that would eventually drop off from like 3 to 5 squares. However, throwing weapons have infinite range even if you throw them from the inventory, which is why using stuff like rocks and Wilson over here is recommended, because A, they have infinite range, so if you ever need to hit something, you'll hit it, and B, if you throw an item from your inventory, it doesn't have a cooldown. Well, I should correct myself. It doesn't have a noticeable cooldown. It has a split-second cooldown, which means you can chain throw stuff in order to progress. Now, I load there because footing is kind of important in Grimrock 2. I can't stress this enough. And if you look at that hallway on the left, the one we just passed, which is now the right, I actually died there because I didn't realize there was a hallway there and those parasite bugs flanked me. Disease bugs. So, above most importantly, like the big thing to remember, know the layout of the land. Knowing which areas are a square concourse and which areas are a hallway and can get you flanked will be key to survival, especially in a single character challenge. And even though I've played this game a lot, I still can't seem to get that in my head. Also, we gotta pick up Wilson. He's our buddy. He is our friend who is mysteriously missing. Oh no. Now here's a great axe, which is a nice reward if you survive the fight, but we don't need that. You stay there. So that's 3 of the 4 figurines. We're just missing one more. I do like the fact that a lot of areas in this place are shut down by gates, which means the designers of this area were obviously intending for players to, you know, manage the flow of battle. Like it was clear that they were expecting some players to retreat from this area, and thus they give them a little leeway to, you know, get some breathing room. It's definitely seen as a sort of, you know, halfway point in terms of level progression. It's not linear, but it's still forgiving enough to, you know, give you a chance to catch your breath. Also, cheese. An interesting thing to note, I mentioned before the favorite food system, and I'm pretty sure that Minotaurs don't have a favorite meat, or a favorite food, so they lose out on some free stats, but I've noticed that, like, just based on the stat gains I've gotten overall, I have gotten, like, 3 times as much free stats from cheese as... Hang on, sorry. Holiday dinner is bubbling up. I've gotten 3 times as much stat gains as a ratling than I would as a insectoid or a lizardman, because this game doesn't have a lot of horned fruit or reptile eggs, or turtle eggs. Cannibalism. But for some odd reason, there's a lot of cheese. Like, an exorbitant amount of cheese. Also, I'm keeping this fight in here because this is the first time we fought the Thunder Drakes, and also to show that these guys aren't threatening. I've gotten the Air Tome, I've gotten the anti-lightning elemental necklace, and I've gotten the elemental shield, so these guys do no damage, well, effectively no damage to me. We're gonna reach a point where they do no damage to me, and I'm gonna get question this game's mechanics a little bit. Also, I tried to stomp a slime to death. Didn't work. By the way, don't fall down this hole. There are 3 slimes here. It's a very tedious fight. Now, this room, interestingly enough, holds probably my favorite puzzle in Grimrock 2, which is weird because when you think about it, it's simple enough, but it incorporates asset design, camera movement, which you never see in this game, and you've never seen like camera movement used as a puzzle mechanic in both Grimrock 1 and Grimrock 2. And it's, you know, it plays with the character's logic. Because right now we saw a sign that said Path of the Eagle. The eagle soars, so naturally you want to stay on the quote-unquote highest path. So you want to walk along the path, which is I don't want to say divot. Canal? Trench. Trench is the term I'm looking for. You want to follow the path that is through the deepest trench. Now when you do that, you solve the puzzle, but the way out is blocked off, which means you have to solve another puzzle. But this puzzle gets us the snail figurine. We have all figurines now. But the next path we have to take is the disguised path. Now this is what I mean by camera usage and asset use. Because notice something strange on the floor? Notice how there's tiles in seemingly random places? Well, they're not so random. You have to take the tile path to get out of here. Now this is clever because, as I mentioned before, you almost never use the camera shift in this game. And now it's not only required, but you also see, like, clever use of assets in order to solve a puzzle. And that just kind of makes me smile. It's a mechanic that I formerly thought was a luxury, now is used in a clever way. It's not like, oh, this is dumb, how was I supposed to know that the camera is used in that way? But when you see disguised path, you decide, I'm gonna look around. There's gotta be something out of normal sight that I would see. Which is really clever. I like that puzzle a lot. I think when this game first came out, that was the puzzle that made me kind of, you know, smile and think, this is alright. This is a cool level. But now, we have to solve this puzzle. We have to figure out which thing is which. Naturally, the ogre is the strongest. Snails can't fly because they're suction cupped to the ground. Now this is kind of weird to me. I feel like birds can walk. But I guess the most known thing for a human is their capacity to walk. So the skeleton is used as the walking puzzle, and then you put the bird as in the last slot. As this gets us crystal flower, power gem, another bear pelt, and a scroll. This is how we solve the puzzle of the archives. Because there's a code that you had to decipher in order to figure out the directions. Now I'm going to tell you all right now, I never remember that code, so I just kind of resort to a guide. I've solved it once before, and I had stuff written down, but then I lost my notes, and I was just really irritated, so I just said, screw it, I'm going to use a guide. It's a really clever puzzle, too. Like, you could solve the puzzle easily if you... Because what happens is, in order to progress the game, the puzzle for game progress is not that hard, but the one for free prizes requires you to solve two things that this cipher doesn't show you, but you could deduce them relatively easily. And if you're wondering at this point why I'm fiddling with ingredients, it's because I gotta show something off. But I don't remember my alchemy notes. But yeah, we got bear claws, bear pellet, bear helmet. I think it's about time to complete my transformation. Also getting a rage potion to experiment with something. I'm pretty sure you're putting two together right now. There's a lot of bear stuff in this game, it's really silly. But I did mention before that my transformation would be complete. And we're gonna see that real soon. Because today, William Scabs is gonna have an identity crisis. But first, mirror chestplate. Probably one of the best light armors in the game. I'm not going to use it, sadly. Whoops. And some crossbow bolts. Eh. See, I prepared all that because I'm pretty sure there was a fight around here, but I just didn't remember where. Ow. So here is... bear potion. Guess what? You're a fucking bear now. Bear is bear. He attacks unarmed, he has high strength. He's got a really quick cooldown on his attacks, and he's just a bear. You're attacking people with your claws. And I didn't realize it at the time, but this was actually a really poor decision to use, because, crabs, they have high armor, and the bear claws don't have armor penetration. So this fight takes probably longer than it would than if I did it just normally. But the bear's main benefits is that high attack speed, relatively well damage, and he's got a good defense to him. Like, he could take a bunch of hits, so if you need to tank something out, Bear Potion is a good alternative to Shield Spell or Shield Potion if you don't have any. But the Bear Potion also has a meter to it. If you have been paying attention, your meter is your energy. And all those willpower level ups from mutation are actually helping out a lot. Because I can maintain bear form for a long time. Like, it's not going away. But yeah, Bear Potion is weird. I could see it being really useful, and it's actually the reason why I was able to beat this game's single character challenge in the first place. But doing it this playthrough, it just doesn't seem to have the utility as it did in my last playthrough. But hey, at least we get to fight a Mimic as a bear. Now this Mimic is funny to me just because you could use the environment to kill it without a problem, but I totally forgot about that. And this Mimic wasn't holding anything useful. Just some plate greaves and some darts. But yeah, for the most part, I believe that is most of the ruins of Desarunes. But there's one last thing I gotta do. This is something Thornbrain actually had to tell me about, because I totally forgot about this fight myself. Because there's a prize in this secret, but it's probably one of the scariest fights in the game. So, gotta rest up. Gotta let my bear form expire mainly. Because when you're in bear form, you can't do anything else. You can only claw swipe. So I needed healing first and foremost. So I had to go out of bear form in order to, you know, go into bear form. Or, yeah, I had to go out of bear form to make a potion to go back into bear form and heal. Because now we're fighting 3 mimics. They're not even, like, you know, trying to ambush us. They're just raring to go. And I keep this fight in for a reason, mainly because it's actually really exciting. But just to show how useful footing is in this game. Because in this fight, it's really easy to get cornered and then chopped to death. But you gotta remember your environment, because if you don't, you'll get owned super quickly. And this is me trying to make a bear form on the fly, because I can't fight 3 mimics at once like this. The reason I do this is because even with the free cooldown reduction on dodge, attacking with the Moonblade is not fast enough. Bear form, even though it's slightly less damaging, and that's another thing I forgot to mention. Bear form doesn't have a crit rate, or if it does, it has a very, very low one. And now I'm fighting in the dark. I'm fighting 3 Hellmoths in the dark as a bear. But yeah, bear doesn't have crit rate, but his attack speed is more than enough to suffice using him. And if you had a speed potion on bear form, you could just attack forever. You could go Berserk and it's great. And that's pretty much how I beat the final boss of this game. But I'm probably not going to do it this time because I actually found some pieces of gear that help out a lot with my slow attack speed problems from before. But yeah, this is probably the scariest fight in this dungeon just because it's really tight corridors. It's 3 mimics, so they're tanky as shit, and you have no escape route. You cannot escape until you defeat... I don't know if it's a specific mimic or all mimics, because I didn't see the key for escape drop until I killed the 3rd mimic. But man, this is like one of the devious traps of this game. It's so rude. And when we're done with the fight, you'll see how rude this is, how neatly designed world building wise this is. That's 2 mimics down. I feel like if I destroyed the barrels, I probably... Ah, so it does crit. It's just a really low and unimpressive multiplier. But yeah, was I saying? I feel like I could have destroyed the barrels in this place to get some more mobility, but I don't know. I think I was just too focused on evasion to do that. And also, I finished that fight just as Bear Potion wore out. That was some clutch killing right there. But yeah, all 3 mimics are down. Let's take a good look around. There's a rock there. I probably should have taken that, but whatever. Oh yeah, I do. And we got some bombs. Bombs are nice. Now here's the prize. We get the neck chain, which I'll elaborate on later. We get a basic health potion. Some much needed red caps. A shield potion. Some peasant's garbs. An energy potion. A little late for that, but okay. Some shoes. And a torch. Basically what we're seeing here is a bunch of starter gear from the beginning of the game, which leads me to believe that this was a trap intended to catch wary adventurers off guard, probably by the island master. And in that way, it's really cool. It's a really cool way to build the world without, you know, telling a single word, because you see a bunch of leftover adventurer gear in a dungeon, in a trap specifically designed to kill you outright. And that's just really clever, in my opinion. Like I mentioned before, it's a way to build your world without saying a single word, which is really good. And here's me just, you know, solving the puzzle because I want that strength potion. Now, there is one other place where this is used. In Twig Root Forest, there is a puzzle that uses this code as well, and I have to take a look at that later, because I totally forgot about it. But the harder version of the puzzle, which you have to use to decipher, gets you a strength potion for much needed carrying capacity, 2 lock picks, and a revolver. Now I feel like, even though the revolver has a really cool mechanic and average damage, I feel like it's the weakest of the guns. Because not only does it have a cooldown rate, you have to reload it, which is something you don't have to do with the other guns. I mean, sure, you could load it 6 times and, you know, you could reload it 6 times and then attack 6 times, but then you have to reload it, which is a problem none of the other guns have. But if I thought about it, I feel like the revolver was mainly used as a test item to see if using charge attacks is viable as a game mechanic. Now now these 3 letters are the main reason we went to the archives. These 3 letters are going to allow us to solve a puzzle in the graveyard that'll allow us entry. And I still get these because even after playing the game multiple times, I can't remember for the life of me how to open that damn door. And there's actually a lot of gear in the cemetery that would make for a really easy run. Make for this run to be really easy. So if you could memorize that function, you could probably do a lot better a run than I can. As for next time, we're gonna go to the pyramid. And I got interrupted. Use your imagination to see how that fight went. Now there's a clue that we get some point in the game that says the snakes could be awakened. And I take that as a clue to use, you know, awaken them, but it doesn't work. I still don't know what that clue is either, which is weird. But yeah, our prize is the neck chain. The neck chain gives you immunity to starvation and overencumbrance if you're not already suffering from them. So if you're starving, you still have to eat before you can use that thing properly, and if you're overencumbered and use that, you need to lose a little bit of weight before that takes effect. But yeah, next time we're going to the pyramids, so I'll see you then. Merry Christmas, everyone.